Crushers! I'm excited to be bringing you a new and updated PvP tier list to better reflect the meta as of May 2022. Today's video will be covering the top heroes and Crush Them All. Yes, we'll be covering the best of the best, but there will also be some heroes that may surprise you sprinkled in here. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up, C tier, B tier, A tier, and ending with our S tier heroes. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you do, be sure to give a shout out. For the sake of this video, I'm assuming all heroes are ruined with pretty perfect 5-star runes level to 25. That is the assumption used for a performance medium by me, as this is where most of my own heroes are built at, more or less. Also, necessary disclaimer, this is a list compiled of my own opinions, and it's not a list that is going to make everyone happy. This is not geared at super whales, nor is it aimed at new players. This was kept with the 99% in mind, the average player. There are a lot of heroes in Crush Them All, and I've tried to keep this focused to the very best of those for PvP. We're going to start today with our C-ranked heroes. For water heroes, we have Aqua, well-rounded when runed with freezing in mind, meaning you should run chilling runes on her. On water team, she's a cornerstone, dishing out decent damage while offering utility freezes with her pushback ability to boot. Works best with Frost Queen freeze team generally speaking, but any water hero synergy is good given her 4-star ability to buff friendly water hero attack speed. Next for water, we have Atlantis, the Crusher from the Mad King raid event. Atlantis brings a strong amount of water DPS to help combat enemy Shelly and fire backline. He does a good amount of damage with a large AoE build, which is now more viable within the Paragon system. Taking a look at Earth heroes, we're going to begin with Gladiator. For a long time, he was the best recommendation for rare heroes for new players, but has since downgraded in lieu of Dark Knight. Still a solid tank option if you've already got him maxed, and a lot of players still keep him for a third take option these days for relevant modes. Lycan is a hard-to-earn event brawler who brings a lot of potential DPS against the ever-prevalent Ice Cube tank. Probably one of the best option DPS-wise to use against the epic water tank. He works really well when paired with Misty, the next hero we're looking at in this tier. Misty boosts the attack of Earth heroes on your side and can really pack a punch against enemy ice cubes. She does find herself lacking against Shelly, given the type disadvantage, so she can't be used as a one-size-fits-all solution. For the C-ranked fire heroes, we're going to be looking at Alda first, the Queen of Flames herself. Alda is one of the Critsters, nicknamed as such for her 4-star ability which will boost the DPS of your heroes. She is one of the very few heroes who can take advantage of Ignite and Burning Rune, just depending on the build that you're running. When Gladiator and Leafblade were more prevalent, she was a much more useful hero, but with the decline of Earth tanks in the meta, her usage and usefulness has declined in turn. The second hero at C rank for fire heroes is Spark. He's most useful for his ability to debuff enemy fire DPS, and since Earth tanks aren't being used as widely anymore, his usefulness has dropped with their usage the same as Alda. Overall a decent hero, and if your opponent is running a lot of fire DPS, you can certainly make good use of him, but Spark finds himself situational at best. Just make sure to set him with your Gladiator or Leafblade if you're running one of them as a tank. C-ranked light heroes start with the OG legendary, Angelica. I'll be honest, I never thought I'd see the day when she hit a PvP tier list with any amount of seriousness, but here we are. She works best with stall teams. You'll often see her with Green Fairy and Cersei backing her up. Generally speaking, these will be defensive and not offensive teams, as their main strategy is to stall out your clock rather than destroy your crystal, or they're focused around AoE teams. You'll notice these teams tend to have a lot of Paragons invested into their tanks, and this is to help stall from their more defensive win conditions. Some legendary players have also been finding some success running an offensive Angelica, but I've personally seen her used more defensively around Legendary 1 where I'm normally at. The second light hero represented here is Sir Shu, and honestly, she's a pretty solid hero. Being an event hero means that by the time you have her maxed, it is very likely that you're only facing main meta takes like Ice Cube and Shelly. She really suffers from a bad 4-star ability, which just buffs Lancer attack range. Cool concept, but lacking in execution. She's best when matched up against an enemy Ornog, but there are better light DPS options. To finish off on C tier, we have our dark heroes. First off, we have Cersei, the ruler of RNG in Crush Them All. Her possess ability brings mixed emotions to most. I've personally rarely been blatantly stopped by a Cersei, besides when my own poor planning may have resulted in a loss anyway. Love her or hate her, she's very relevant for defensive teams across all PvP modes and can work her way into many teams as a default. Some guilds require all members to put her in their castle teams, and some people keep her in their arena defensive teams by default. Cersei can be annoying, but isn't invincible and suffers prey to commonly used heroes like META. The next and final hero of this rank is Dark Knight. Dark Knight has replaced Gladiator as the best rare tank hero in the game for newer players thanks to the Paragon system and the buff that all knights got within this new system. Dark Knight when Paragon will have more tanking potential than Gladiator. He also has the advantage of better move speed, meaning he will be closer to the enemy crystal, making things easier for your team. With late DPS being hard to come by, he has an easier time staying alive for longer as well. He pales when compared with some other tanks, but a very solid option to any newer player at this time, especially since he's within the dark element, which should make maxing him even faster and easier if you're following the general advice. This would be a good time to reiterate that advice, which is to max dark heroes first. Focusing heavily on dark daily dungeons until all dark heroes are maxed is a solid strategy to get a lot of strong heroes that are going to be relevant for all levels of gameplay. B tier kicks us off with a single water hero, Valkyrie, the other critster. Perfect for freeze teams due to her ability to freeze and fast attacks, but what sets her above others is her 4-star ability, which increases the damage potential of your entire team substantially. With Shelly being so prevalent, the additional water DPS she offers can go a long way towards getting through that enemy Shelly quickly and efficiently. Leafblade starts us on our Earth heroes, and I'll stress that I feel he's definitively better than Dark Knight, but does require Spark to be most efficient, so if you plan to run him as a main tank, be prepared to run Spark to coincide with him properly. When talking about Knight tanks to use, the only 3 that come to mind for me are Leafblade, Paladin, and Ornok. Leafblade is the better of the options between himself and Gladiator, and the same holds true for Dark Knight at this time too. Next for Earth we have Green Fairy. As mentioned, she's been getting usage within stall teams, especially for defensive purposes. She has good synergy with Cersei, Angelica, and Kasume, mainly in the sense that Kasume benefits from being ran with her. Her ability to pop a shield means you want her built as bulky as possible to better protect your heroes. Green Fairy can also be run offensively, though she shouldn't be ran for her DPS capabilities, not even against an enemy Ice Cube. Finally, for Earth, we have Thorn. I love Thorn myself. She is great for spreading Vlad's heals around, great for debuffing enemy Earth DPS, and great for Earth DPS in general. Ice Cube benefits a lot from having her in the lineup, and building her is well worth your time. Now, first off for Fire Heroes, we have Dragania. I've barely messed around with her in Crusades, but I've seen a few being ran in Legendary Whale teams. She can have up to 3 tiny dragons summoned, which are themselves not a great hero. The potential DPS is pretty solid though, especially since each unit carries its own frenzy chance. That said, running frenzy runes on Dragania is common along with more traditional DPS runes like damage and swift. However, running damage, rage, and precise can also be a solid choice. A lot of firepower from the Queen of Tiny Dragons. Scud is next up and represents the traditional fire DPS. He has great global DPS buffs, and still finds himself a staple for a lot of teams, even with the decline of Earth tanks in the current meta. Torch finishes us off for Fire Heroes and represents what may be the best DPS potential in the game if things align correctly. Torch deals an AoE attack that can be devastating to enemies caught in it. He suffers from being a little bit too close and can be susceptible to enemy AoE damage himself, but has proven himself strong enough within the new Paragon system to stick solidly within B tier here on this list. Kicking us off for light B-ranked heroes, we have Seraph. I know some players have a little confusion about her dual typing, but she is at her core a light hero. She just takes advantage of both light and dark buffs, as well as carries the ability to deal effective damage against both light and dark targets. She is a solid light DPS option, is more easily obtainable than most light DPS, and doubles up versatility within guild raid events. The second hero to look at for light at this rank is Tian Su. Tian Su brings a pseudo-tank role to the field by dropping elementless walls on the front line and debuffs elemental damage taken by light heroes. Light DPS heroes like Seraph and Sir Shu benefit from his presence a lot, but Paladin benefits from his presence the most. Stall teams make good usage of him too, so watch out for him when possible. Trickster offers a decent counter since he can attack randomly through his 2-star ability, making Trickster one of the only ways to work around a strong Tian Su in some cases. Finishing off the B-ranked heroes, we have our Dark Heroes. First up is Kasume, who brings to free-to-play the enemy attack speed debuff. In the current meta, she is dying off faster than her two counterparts, which has netted her the B ranking in the end. She's solid, and if she's the first of the trio you've maxed, then you should definitely make room for her on your teams. The attack per second debuff effect does not stack, so there is no need to run her with any others that have the same effect. The other dark hero covered for this tier is Onyx. She does what Atlantis does with the exception of water DPS against enemy Shelly tanks, but she also offers a global attack buff to all your DPS heroes. A big AoE build means that she's touching all of the non-flying backline heroes and spreads enemy Vlad heals around nicely too. Some of the best legendary teams run Onyx, and she is nothing to overlook if you have room for her on your team. This has been a heavy list so far, but now for a word from our sponsor. Just kidding, it's just time to jump into our A-ranked heroes, and kicking us off for the water heroes is Frost Queen. She serves as a staple for any water-centric team, and a good reminder that synergy matters. If you're running a water-centric team, then Frost Queen is likely going to be the equivalent of an S-rank hero to you. Absolutely pivotal, and better at higher levels. Her freeze bombs can be absolutely devastating to enemy heroes. Manta is a staple for water DPS and one of the main reasons why Shelly has struggled to find usage over Ice Cube. Manta brings a lot of water DPS and then doubles up with a solid 4-star ability which debuffs the amount of damage done by AoE attacks. A lot of solid DPS heroes focus on AoE. There isn't a lot of single target DPS at this time. This makes the debuff provided by Manta that much more pivotal. The fact that she herself can dish out damage makes her a big threat to enemy teams with or without an enemy Shelly. Namida is the final hero for water heroes at the A rank, and she is, funnily enough, one of the most important heroes to run against an enemy Manta because of her ability to debuff enemy water hero attack. In fact, she is a pivotal hero to run with Shelly as a tank, so she definitely is something to keep in mind if you do plan to run Shelly. Being able to spread water explosions to the backline when ran with Frost Queen helps her fit in very nicely with basically any freeze bomb team too. Only a single hero represents our Earth heroes for A rank on today's tier list, and that is our new hero Tomo. Tomo debuffs enemy attack speed, making her the third in the trio. She shines against enemies with shields, including Night shields. She is Ice Knight's kryptonite in this sense, but she's very solid for Earth DPS in general, and can devastate an enemy Ice Cube when landing critical hits. Most are running damage rage precise runes with heavy Paragon investment going for both offensive and defensive trees. Offensive for DPS capabilities and defensive in order to keep her alive long enough to be relevant. For fire heroes, we have Monkey King, one of the strongest crowd control and DPS heroes in the game. Increasing his stunning attributes on the offensive Paragon tree is going to yield a lot of success for you overall, and he's found himself to be a staple for most teams once again. There are counters, such as your own Monkey King, Manta, Namida, or potentially even Cersei. A well-runed Monkey King can blanket the entire field in Sun status for any heroes that aren't immune or resisting it. That can be pretty much match-defining. Monkey King is one of the strongest AoE smashers in the game at this time. The second fire hero we have at A rank is Shelly. I'm sure you've noticed me mentioning a lot of water DPS heroes that really do number on her, and that's why she got the rank she has. I will stress that she is by far the best female tank in the game, and for female buffs, she is going to be the superior option. In neutral or male buffs, however, she is simply lacking when compared to Ice Cube at this point in time due to the wide range of water DPS options. Still an amazing hero, just not the best tank option in the current meta. Light has a single hero for this rank as well, and that is Paladin. Paladin is the upgrade from Leafblade, and can be quite expensive to max since he's a blitz hero. If you can afford him, then he's going to be a solid option for you, and could allow you to utilize a secondary tank like Shelly as a smasher when given enough range to stand behind him. Tansu offers solid synergy for him as well. His 4-star ability works as the perfect opposite to Trickster. Paladin is also a strong counter to Monkey King as well. Be warned, however, as I'd recommend caution when testing Paladin against enemy freeze bomb teams. His ability actually causes freeze bombs to trigger more frequently and can cause a big issue for you if you don't plan accordingly. Looking at our Dark heroes, we have Dark Hunter, a staple for most teams. His global attack debuff and his own decent DPS potential locks him in for most teams to run him. It's also super easy to get his medals and get him maxed. I'd wager that you'd get him to 8 stars long before you gather enough awakening materials to get him to his 7th awaken, especially if you focus on awakening your tank first, as you should. Finally, finishing off the A rank, we have Vlad. Vlad is the third and final enemy attack speed debuffer. He's arguably the hardest to get and most expensive of the trio, being that he's a blitz hero. That aspect is balanced by the fact that he's got decent normal DPS and offers heals which can prove match deciding at times. Of the three, I'd rank Vlad as the best, then Tomo, and then Kasume. All of them are good in their own rights and matchups. We have finally made it to the S rank heroes. And to start us off, on our water heroes, we have Ice Cube. As mentioned, there aren't many Earth DPS options to choose from, which allows him a little more breathing room. In fact, I've ranked no Earth heroes at S rank, so that says something to what's lacking. Due to this aspect though, Ice Cube has had room to breathe and grow into the best barbarian tank as of the current meta, and arguably the best current tank in Crush Them All above all others. He's best when you run Thorn with him to reduce the amount of damage he takes from Earth heroes. Tomo is proving to be a bit of a threat, but not many players have her maxed at this time, so there is still time for Ice Cube to maintain an S ranking. If there could be an SS ranking, then no hero deserves that more than Mu Lao Hu, or MLH, as the community typically calls her. Mu Lao Hu modestly buffs friendly brawler stats, is capable of freezing, can't be stunned, pulls enemy backline forward to get smashed by AoE attacks, and has the signature brawler combo. She practically melts through enemy Shellys when she encounters them, and even well-built Ice Cubes and Ornox have a hard time slowing her down. If you're going up against one, your best counter is your own Mu Lao Hu, but even then, you'll typically want to run some Earth DPS if you can. She is a force to be reckoned with. Skipping Earth and onto Fire, we have Monkey Mary. He's been seeing a lot of usage as a natural sort of counter to Monkey King, since the buffs he offers both increase resist chance for your whole team and also can potentially increase their dodge rate substantially too. He is a solid option for anyone capable of building him, as he offers a huge advantage through his 2-star ability as well. With any luck, you can get a Frenzy if you run Frenzy runes on him, which can be match defining almost always in your favor. Representing light S-rank heroes, we have Monkey Robati, boasting by far the best light smasher in Crush Them All at this time. He runs best when supported by Tiansu, which will both lower the amount of damage he takes from enemy dark heroes, but also throws up those elementless walls in front of him, which he can utilize to his advantage too. He's the best counter against an enemy Ornoc, Kage, backline dark heroes, or most tanks for that matter. He also boasts a global attack boost just like Scud and Onyx, allowing him to buff the DPS of your entire team too. It is less likely for him to get his brawler combination off, but does deal great damage as a smasher and should be runed as such. Monkey King and Namida are the typical counters, as their stuns and freezes will interrupt the brawler combo, making him a bit less effective, but in the end he's still holding the strongest smasher at this point in time well within his grasp. Finally, finishing off our tier list with the dark heroes, we first have Kage. Kage's HP debuff has become even more vital within the Paragon system, and has secured himself a spot on virtually all legendary teams. When built, he can also provide a healthy amount of frontline DPS as well. Next we have Ornoc. Truly the best tank in terms of raw stats, he's the fastest tank in the game, and most whales run him with 60% move speed or as close to that as possible. His usage has been dropping somewhat lately in favor of Ice Cube more, but that shouldn't dissuade anyone from running him if you have him maxed. The defensive tree in the Paragon system allows for Night Shield HP, and can truly take his tanking capabilities to astounding levels. Finally, we finish today's tier list off with Trickster. Trickster is the king of debuffing and spreads his damage around, oftentimes being the deciding factor in a stalled out battle. Since his 2-star ability targets enemies at random, there is a solid chance he'll hit and possibly kill enemy backline heroes. These random hits get more focused as you whittle down the enemy numbers, and can really sway things in your favor if the cards are right. As I conclude today's video, I'd like to thank several Discord users who helped contribute to the content covered today, namely Belmont, Mithras, Madwad, USO Remix, and Mr. Moogle. I'd also like to thank users such as yourself who watch my videos and encourage me to continue making content. Your contributions are more appreciated than you know. If you'd like to support this channel in other ways, there are several things you can do. Comments, likes, and subscribing are great ways to show your support. You can also show your support financially by contributing to my Patreon. The link to becoming a patron of this YouTube channel is in the description below this video as well. That's all the time we have for today. I appreciate you watching this video through to the very end. Thanks for watching.